I am so pissed off at this country right now with what we not only allowed, but what we continue to allow on a daily basis. The level of disrespect, the corruption from people who actually are supposed to represent us. It's absolutely insane. My message to Ilhan Omar, and I'm just going to do maybe about 20 minutes or so on, when a streamer says that it's 3 hours. No, I got 20 minutes. My message to Ilhan Omar is to go home. I am absolutely tired of that woman. And I've given her a little bit, I haven't talked about it a lot, but I've given her a little bit of leeway because there are people I respect on the left who like Ilhan Omar. Maybe our interests converge on a few topics in a minor way. No, I don't have any more time for this. Right before I went live, I was like, this reminds me of the scene from Home Alone. Not Home Alone, House Party. Um, I love that movie. Robin Harris, I believe his name. Yeah, Robin Harris, the comedian, rest in peace, where he came in and everybody was at the house party. He's like, it's time to go home. And it now, and my parents are immigrants, legal immigrants from Jamaica. And I'm gonna tell you, kind of, for me, it's up to you because it is ironic for me to be saying that to tell her to go home. It's up to every person individually to decide if they need to tell somebody to go home when they need to leave the crib. I can't speak for anybody else, but we can get into that a little bit too. But this is the scene. You would be talking about really the money that was stolen. You can look at the last live stream. We kind of did a deep dive to a certain extent on the corruption that happened in Minnesota with the fraud from the autism center and food for the children during COVID and beyond that. And most of the people involved were Somalian. They come here. We invited them here because their country is a complete piece of shit. And invite them low IQ. What's the upside to inviting them to the crib? Explain that to me. Explain to me the upside of inviting the Somalis to the crib. Oh wait. The food? Okay. You got me there. Anything else? I'm good. I don't need the food. The food is an upside, but I don't need it. Invite them to the crib. Come on through. Sit down, eat. You have an opportunity. If you really cared, Ilhan Omar, about Somalians or Somalis, I don't even know what the hell you call them. If you cared about them, you would be going to them and saying, what the hell is going on? You're making us all look bad. Not talking about Donald Trump, talking about racism and all this other bull. You would come in the crib and say, look at this. Look at how we invited you to the crib. Look how you treating the crib. That's what you would talk about. Come here, marry a white, allegedly do shady stuff to become a citizen here, potentially marrying your brother, allegedly, to make it to the opportunity here for what? A country built by who? White men. You can't acknowledge that. You can't, not in any positive manner. And then on top of that, your people come here. And this is your terms, Ilhan Omar, and anybody else who agrees with her. There's a lot of people on the left that they're acting weird, and I'm falling out with everybody, basically. It's the only people that I can really kind of rock with right now are the Groypers, to be honest with you. Even people I respect on the left talking about the Somalis are online. They're making fun of it like they're trying to tie in Israel to it and making fun of Israel and saying, hey, we were promised this land. And like that's not funny to me. I might show that if I have time. Those TikTok videos are not funny. You would be like, look at what you did to these people's home. That's why we came here, right? If that weren't the case, you could go back to the country where your countrymen are from. It's beautiful. I've seen you guys show the beaches and everything. It's beautiful, great. Go home. You shouldn't be here. Look what you're doing to these Somalians. There was a clip that went viral where I don't know what happened before it, where a woman, it looked real, was working at a Cinnabon or something like that. She crashed out fully. I don't even know if I can play it on YouTube. She crashed out on some Somalis. Yeah, we should be crashing out. We should absolutely be crashing out on them. Like he crashed out on the young Martin Lawrence right here. He said your name sounds like something should be that's cut on the bottom of somebody's shoe. Talking to us. They came here acting a damn fool, have no thoughts of assimilation, anti-white, they're anti-black. They're their own entity. They hate black people, they hate Scandinavians, they hate the white people, they hate the Mexicans. They pretty much stay to their own. But they obviously act a fool. They don't have the same morals as what I would want Americans to have. And we say, well, what's going on with this scandal? Yeah, I talk about all kinds of scandals, whether it's white, whatever, whoever, of course. I talked about railed against Joe Biden for years. He's a white guy. So they kind of get an attitude, say, why are you talking about the Somalis like that? Well, we're talking about the Somalis like that because y'all are corrupt. We see it's corruption. And instead of looking at your own people, you start pointing the fingers. You start making TikTok videos about Gaza. What the hell has that got to do with you?
Go home.
Jews too. We're just talking about Somalis right now. Let's not lose track. I don't want to get Stephen Miller's and the kinds kind of getting on the Somali train. Bitch, you should be on the train too. But I don't have any tolerance for none of y'all. It was funny that Ilhan Omar was on she did the rounds, the media rounds, and she actually was talking about Stephen Miller. And that's how disgusting these people, this is how disgusting these people are. So just multiple levels of disrespect that we allow. Why do we allow this? There's no society that should allow any of this. Culturally. I mean, she still represents us.
I want to ask you about something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said. On Thanksgiving Day, he posted, "No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand this?
Is something funny? What's funny about that? This isn't the time. This is in the wake of one of the biggest, I don't even know what to call it as far as scandals go, government program scandals we've ever seen in this country. And something's funny to her.
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric,
he's not white. What are we talking about? He's Jewish. I see. These are the people I thought they were for the people in Gaza, the Palestinians. They can't name the Jew. So what are they really for? It was Stephen Miller and his white supremacy. What? What white? That doesn't even make any sense.
Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric.
That doesn't make any sense. He's Jewish.
It reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And
do you see how messed up this is? Her people, the Somalians, steal money from most taxpayers are whites. Basically, we invite her people here. They never assimilate. They eventually, during one of the biggest crisis situations in the country, steal. I'm hearing, I don't know what's true or not. I could only put to 250 million, but I'm hearing $1 billion. I haven't seen how we get to $1 billion. I've heard 8 billion recently. I don't know how we get there. Regardless, it's one of the biggest scams we've ever seen. Most of the people involved are her people that she calls her people, that she fights for more than Minnesota citizens. I don't know why she even represents Minnesota at all. So people go, and people are very soft about it. People aren't even saying go home. They should be saying go home, get the hell out of here. But nobody's really saying, because nobody wants to be racist or whatever, bigoted. Maybe we should be racist. What, how about that? How about your terms are acceptable? Go home. I'm racist and go home. Because obviously you don't want to be here. basically has nothing to say about the real victims of this. The programs were there because the government was shut down, and she supported the government being shut down on top of it to support the people who couldn't get jobs or got sent home from their jobs, didn't have income to feed their kids, and your people stole the money brazenly. And then people start saying, wait a second, I don't know what's going on. Stephen Miller starts talking about the things that I largely agree with, but of course it's coming from a different angle, but I largely obviously agree. Your people came here not assimilating, no accountability from the supposedly good ones from your community. So I guess the question is, why are you here? That's the question, Ilhan Omar. So then she says, Stephen Miller with white supremacy rhetoric. That's her first response.
In Germany. And
the first response is white supremacy rhetoric. Well, but he's Jewish, and then talks about how the Nazis did something to Jewish people in Germany. What? That's the response.
the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And
you see how messed up this country is? These people are coming here and literally, politically and financially raping us. Literally. They get on TV and are asked about it, and I know we got other things to do and lives to live. I think one of the things that we need to fit into our busy schedules is getting these people out of power. How about we put that on the calendar?
How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And
these are very smart people. Don't come to me and say, "Oh, she's stupid." That is not going to work. That is giving an excuse. That there's intent behind this. The intent is nobody cares, nobody's paying attention, and the average American is an ignorant fool. That's what the intent is. The intent is to leverage that into power. That's what the intent is.
To assimilate and sort of ruining America. How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And you know, as we know, there have been many immigrants who have tried to come to the United States who've turned back, one of them being Jewish immigrants. We know the way that people were described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants.
What are we talking about? This is on national television. She should be removed from office immediately.
Described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants. We know the way in which people were described back then when they were Italian immigrants. And to me, you know, we're yes, of course, ethnically Somali. We are in this country as Americans.
Yeah.
We are citizens. We are.
What about you makes you American? Explain that to me. Because it doesn't seem like you care about Americans.
Productive part of this nation, and we will continue to be.
Congresswoman Omar, thank you for your time today.
There's no follow-up. What is this? This is on CBS, the Jewish Barry Weiss kind of run outlet. That's the type of stuff we see after questions are asked. And everybody's afraid to say, I don't know why. What are we afraid of? At some point, if I said God, family, country, at some point I mean that. That doesn't mean you trust everyone. To be Christian doesn't mean you trust everyone. To be Christian doesn't mean you're afraid to call out corruption and evil because you're afraid to be called a bigot. Then go ahead and call me a bigot. I do not care. You don't have good answers to this. The number one thing that you would want to hear from Ilhan Omar is even if you want to say, and I have no problem with her saying, well, we are Americans, we're proud to be here, all that. Okay, so talk to me about this scandal. Everyone involved with this scandal, absolutely terrible. There were a lot of Somalis involved, and they need to be not only prosecuted, we need to take a look at what's going on in the Somali community for it to be this brazen, to make us look this bad, to blow the bag on the, well, it should drop the bag on the opportunity, but obviously it's not. Just absolute, complete, I mean, it's pure ignorance on Americans, on the part of Americans. So Ilhan Omar did condemn a little bit. This was back in 2022. I haven't heard anything recently. I haven't heard everything from her. I did some research here, so I'll say what I can to shine a fair light. In 2022, because I was like, what did she say about this? In 2022, she said she was appalled to learn of such heinous acts after the members of the nonprofit in her district stole and laundered over $200 million in funds meant to feed children. She urged federal authorities in 2022 to root out any possible future fraudulent use of federal funds. Okay, just very basic statement. She publicly condemned the scam at the time. She told the Minnesota outlet, that the alleged fraud scheme orchestrated by Feeding Our Future is reprehensible. So she didn't call out, that I can see, her own people. I'm still looking through that. I can't find a statement where she overtly called out her own people. Then she distanced herself from it because two men named in the FBI investigation had donated to her campaign. So she, not only is it her people, she's at least tangentially involved, not like involved in the scam, but at least somewhat ingrained. It's in her district too. So now we fast forward to 2025, we say, well, how could the fraud grow so much out of control? She talks about systemic factor. She points the blame. She stated, I played this the last live, that when the new pandemic aid programs were created so quickly, a lot of the guardrails did not get created. Taking no accountability, not humble at all in any way, shape, or form. So if you're not going to name the Somali, then I'm going to name the Somali. What's happening with the Somali? So then now she's scapegoat. So President Trump, he named the Somali. Of course, I have problems with Trump because he does name the Jew, but in favor of the Jew. But I do agree with him on the Somali. He accused the Somali community of destroying Minnesota and tied them to fraud. So she replies trying to blast his rhetoric. She said Trump was trying to scapegoat and deflect. When I can't find any statement where she took ownership within the district, her own community to begin with. That'd be one thing if she said, I took complete ownership. Here's what I've done to kind of help the culture besides legally, to help people understand you're Americans, because part of this is they're Somalis. They don't care if they're stealing from Americans because they don't view themselves as Americans. It'd be one thing if she did, like, I got a whole program to kind of say, hey, I got a white husband. I think she's married. I got not to her brother now, to this white. Is it a white Birkenstock, or am I confusing him with it's a white guy, but which is not a problem, except when you have her positions. Well, she's here. It's like, hey, I'm here. I'm married to a white guy, or a white guy boyfriend. I apologize. I forget what the status is. And we can assimilate, and it's okay. Otherwise, why would we need to be here? We got back on our feet. We can go back to Somaliland, have fun there. She has rarely zeroed in on the fraud ringleaders themselves in her public remarks. Aside from her initial abhorrent comment and letter in early 22, she has tended to generalize the wrongdoing or shift the conversation. So Stephen Miller, a Jew, can be accused of white supremacist, quote, rhetoric, but we don't see any type of labeling of a Somali. Very defensive. Her tone is indignant. Trump announced, obviously, that he would end temporary protected status for Somali refugees. She responded, noting, I am a citizen, and so are the majority of Somalis in America. We are here to stay. Well, that's what we want to debate. The only reason they're saying they're a citizen is to kind of make claim to not get kicked out of here. Citizen in name only. Why are they even a citizen? Some of them might be citizens and they shouldn't be. Something went wrong. I don't think Trump is going hard enough. Omar, of course, points fingers, calls everybody racist or Islamophobe. Instead of demanding accountability from the wrongdoers, this is what I wrote here, from within the community. Some in the Somali diaspora lament that a few people took advantage of the system and we all get blamed for it. That's their takeaway. And there's people I respect on the left that are no accountability at all. You're the ones that talk about race and ethnicity. You do. And all of a sudden you're shy. So Tim Walz is let off the hook. He doesn't have to do anything. A Somali-born former state official wrote that fraud is a serious crime and those who committed it must be held accountable. I just searched and said, is anybody in the Somali community calling out the Somali community? He went on to say, thorough investigations that root out the fraudulent actors both within and outside the Somali community. So he did at least name the Somali community. I'm gonna twist the ending to this, and a problem with the left, and this is a great example of how the left is just, you can't work with them. Crystal Ball was commenting on the Nick Fuentes offer to kind of work together. What does that mean? I don't know, talk or something.
Stop using the term groypers because people don't know what it means. That means they're neo-Nazis. That is the ideology. Yes. That's the idea.
So she starts off by saying, if you don't know what a groyper is, that means you're a neo-Nazi. Why do we let women involved in politics like this? This is disgusting. That's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. Just openly, confidently, probably with intent, just slandering. You okay with this, Sagar? This bullshit? I'm telling you why it transit. She's on the Ilhan Omar side.
Stop using the term groypers because people don't know what it means. That means they're neo-Nazis. That is the ideology.
So she doesn't call out Ilhan Omar for this bull that she's doing, but the groypers are neo-Nazis.
Yes. That's the ideology. And I get right-wingers sometimes because Fuentes sometimes contextually will try to, he will try to moderate his rhetoric to sound like, recently he was like, oh, we should partner with the left and we'll be less cruel. And
No, he didn't say none of that. He didn't. Well, he said partner with the left. He's less cruel. He didn't say anything about less cruel. He's never been cruel.
Guys just have to bend some on immigration and we can work together. Like, he'll try to moderate himself in certain circumstances. So I'll get people who ask me, like, why do you always call him a Nazi? Why do you always have to call him a Nazi? In fact, Nick himself said that. Crystal Ball, why do you always have to call me a Nazi? It's like, gee, let me see. You love Hitler. You hate the Jews. You're a Holocaust denier.
That's not true. It's just absolutely not true. Do you think I hate Somalis? No, I want them to do better for their community. Do you think I hate blacks? I've crashed out on blacks, not in a while, but I've done it many times before. And I've crashed out on whites. It's ironically, the biggest thing is the toxic tolerance, but there's other things too.
Like, what am I missing here? I mean, stop playing cute with this. You are very overt about what your ideology is. I'm just trying to accurately describe it here.
She doesn't know the ideology. She doesn't know anything that she's talking about. Nick Fuentes basically says, well, guys, I don't need to demonize you. Please don't demonize me. here are my positions. We agree on some things. Let's talk and work in those. I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to, the free market. I know you guys don't like the free market. The free market has been great to me. I'm fine with that. Or can you give on immigration? Maybe we can talk. And this is the response. Ilhan Omar is on her side, protected. She's a good one. But Nick Fuentes is not. If you're on the left and you agree with this nonsense, I'm out. I have no more tolerance for this. This is ridiculous.
You and me are in these same spaces where, we go on Piers Morgan and we go on the right wing sometimes and they debate us and on Twitter and social media. And you've heard this, they call us Nazis. They call us white supremacists. They're fomenting hate against us. And I just want to give you a gift. And it comes through Laura Loomer. Who would have thought? Where Laura Loomer last week tweeted, the GOP has a Nazi problem. So from now on, you and I don't have to say it. Like, I didn't say it. Laura Loomer.
So these are people who purport themselves to care about Palestinians. Why does Laura Loomer say that the right has a Nazi problem? Because there's people on the right who don't like what's happening to Palestinians. But then now the people on the left are using that as a weapon. They're completely fake. They're phony. There's nothing real about this. They're worse than the neocons because they act like they're populists. Do you see how bad that is? People would call my position neo-Nazi position because I crash out on Israel and the Jews and their Zionism, dropping 2-ton bombs on women and children. So that position, Nick Fuentes or whoever agrees with that, is the neo-Nazi. And then here comes the left that's supposed to care about Palestinians.
Has a Nazi problem. So
the right has a Nazi problem. They're siding with Laura Loomer, the most Zionist Jew in the planet.
So from now on, you and I don't have to say it. Like, I didn't say it. Laura Loomer said it, that the GOP has a Nazi
And you see in her face, she sees the problem.
problem. And I always tell them.
And she's part of it. She's part of it. Again, she wants to carve out the Jews, but everybody else, I mean, she is
So she didn't want to get into it, but she sees the problem with him using that as a weapon, a point of attack. So my point is, at this point, we deserve what we get. So I'm not going to complain, not a victim at all. But I'm pretty much, I don't know where I'm at. I'm pretty much out on the left. If we can't agree that everything here, there's something very deeply wrong, I'm out on the left completely. I'm out with working on. Nick Fuentes put together legit. Have him on your show. Talk to him. I'd love to see Nick Fuentes and Nick Cruz talk. If you can't put that together, I don't get it. But the number one thing is go home.
Lights down low in the room we share. Promises hang heavy in the air. Shape we chased, now it slips through the seam. Veins that won't yield, lost in the dream. You came with a smile that lit up the night. Talked of the home we built side by side. But the roots you brought tangled the ground we tried. Hid the shadows you carried inside. I trust the walls, we'll let them stand open wide. Welcome the step that felt like a stride. Now the quiet creeps and the trust starts to slide. Whispers of crimes you won't confide. From the edge of the gate to the heart of the fold, billions slip silent, stories untold. Faith steady line drawn in the sand we hold. Time to see what the heart can't fold. Index red traces the tear in the the thread, a murmur in the mist, heavy with dread. This veins running dry, and I'm falling deep. I know you wanna simulate, so go home where the secrets you keep on seep. No storm in the silence, just the soul's quiet plea. If you blend it true, no crimes you conceal from me. Like you slinging anti-Semitic, and a woman crooning kids songs, or an Omar ignoring her people's screams while she scams the system for her own. Applies to the wanderers from sands far and wide. Anyone crossing the tide, yeah, we build from the break, unafraid, unswayed, or the slide snake is right. The line and just wait. Whispering watch to the watchful to light. No blade in the braid, just the rhythm soft retort. Ideas carved where the illusions fall short. Convictions calm fire, burning the bluff slow. From the fracture we rise, letting go. Veins settle dust on the path we reclaim. In the unbent wire, we whisper your name.